Good evening to all our listeners, to those who listen to us from their homes or workplaces. Today we will talk about a very interesting topic learning. This topic is very important for everyone, like parents, teachers, and students. Make yourself comfortable and welcome. Today we will approach this important topic in all these theories, exponents, and advances. Let's start with a short introduction on this topic. Since ancient times, humans had the purpose of adapting to their natural environment and they did so spontaneously. He managed to build shelters and houses, distinguish the plants and animals that could give him food and shelter, and explore new places to get water. With the passing of the centuries, international teaching arises, which is why new fields of study such as mathematics, geography, philosophy, etc. Learning is a process where new skills, knowledge, experiences are acquired that modify the behavior of the human being and allow us to adapt to the environment in which we live. But the change in our behavior must last over time. Although learning is also a skill that animals can acquire through stimuli without it evolving. Communication is a fundamental part of learning. This is how the human acquires knowledge through imitation, replicating actions and words that he sees in his family environment. This involves time and repetition. But what happens when the human lacks this type of stimuli? This could result in disorders and difficulties in language, writing, coordination, self control, attention, among others. To reduce this type of disorder, there are learning strategies, which are a set of techniques and planned activities that facilitate the acquisition, storage, and use of information. These strategies are divided into groups. The first group are the primary strategies that are applied directly to the content to be learned, such as paraphrasing, which is the explanation of the content using your own words, categorization, which is to organize categories with information, conceptual networks that allow to organize the information in the middle of diagrams, imagery, which is the information presented through images. The second group are the support strategies used to create and maintain an environment conducive to learning, such as following: planning. It is used to plan situations and moments to learn. Supervisions. Here we can develop introspection and guide ourselves towards our own learning style. Learning is an individual process that develops in a social and cultural context that can be applied in situations that we experience every day. When we acquire knowledge, the physical structure of the brain is modified and it performs a series of steps to retain information through three systems. First, the affective system that evaluates a stimulus or a significant situation. The second, the cognitive system that is can change the processing information and contrasting with all knowledge that we have stored. And the third, the expressive system that creates an understanding and behavior with respect to the assimilate information, a gasp or reality. All these processes carried out by our brain sounds incredible, but all human beings need four fundamental factors to learn about something, such as motivation, the experience, previous knowledge, and intelligence. Do you know that each one of us has a better retention of information according to the type of learning that we apply? Receptive learning. The subject needs to understand the content in order to reproduce it but doesn't discover anything. Learning by discovery. Discover the concept and the relationships that rearrange them to adapt them to their cognitive scheme. Repetitive learning. It occurs when the student memorizes contents without understanding them or relating them to their previous knowledge. They do not find meaning in the contents studied. Significant learning. The subject relates their previous knowledge with the new ones. This is giving them coherence with respect to their cognitive structures. Operational learning. It occurs by observing the behavior of another person, called a model. Latent learning. A new behavior is acquired, but it is not demonstrated until some incentive is offered to manifest it. Learning by trial error. Learning through behavioral models by which answers to the problem are solved. Dialogic learning. It is consequence of a dialogue in which different people give arguments based on claims of validity and not power. Each one of us learn differently, but it is quite useful to know what are the ways in which learning occurs. The learning style is the different ways in which an individual can learn and what can be classified according to the type of intelligence that the psychologist Howard Gardner identified and confirmed that the amount is not important, but the specific way of being intelligent. Each one of us acquires information according to a rhythm and strategy used, such as visual, it consists of using graphic organizers. Auditory, it consists of using auditory stimuli. Kinesthetic, assimilate information by associating it with sensations and movements of the body. There are also different types of intelligence. Listen to what they are and write me which one is yours in the comments. Intelligence type. Logical mathematical. They have the ability to handle numbers accumulated by reasonably locally. They use their left hemisphere, used by mathematicians and physicists. Linguistic verbal is one used to use words effectively, facilitating communication either orally or in writing. Bodily kinesthetic, used to express all kinds of feelings and ideas using the body and hands. Physical abilities are developed. Spatial, it is the ability to perceive and think about images in three dimensions, used to locate ourselves in the space where we move. Musical is the sensitivity towards rhythms, tones, and timbres, which enable us to perceive, create, or transform sounds in music. Interpersonal is the ability to interrelate, making us more sensitive to perceive the body language to other people. Intrapersonal, it is the ability to understand and value ourselves, which includes self control, self esteem, and self understanding. Naturist is the ability of sensitivity to use and coexist with our environment, including the environment and living beings such as plants and animals. I think my type of intelligence could be linguistic verbal. And what is yours? Continuing with this podcast, we are going to talk about the learning theories that emerged during the last century and that complemented studies of psychology, like the behaviorist theories that were classical conditional by Pavlov, behaviorism and reinforcement by Skinner, and the theory of social learning by Albert Bandura. Other cognitive theories such as discovery learning by Brunner, meaningful learning by Ausubel and Novak, cognitivism, social constructivism, and Robert Gagne's topology. Each of these theories focused on learning and all the stimuli he received, his behavior after incentives and punishments are everything that can be generated if he himself decides to deepen his knowledge. Robert Gagne's topology establishes that hierarchical sequence to achieve effective learning. 1. Gain attention. 2. Inform the student of the objectives. 3. Stimulate the memory of previous teaching. 4. Present stimulating material. 5. Provide guidance to the students. 6. Allow the practice of what has been learned. 7. Provide feedback. 8. Evaluate performance. 9. Improve retention and transfer. For all our teachers who are listening to this amazing podcast, let's take each of these steps into account to apply them with the students and get great results. Tell me in the comments if you had used Robert Gagne's topology before. And to end this podcast, we will talk about the difficulties that impede our learning. One of the most controversial and contentious theories was the theory presented by Doman, Speech, Segment, and Delicato in 1967, who say that children with brain injuries do not have the ability to evolve normally due to poor organization of their nervous system, impeding their learning. There are also the genetic theory presented by Hallgren in 1950, who studied 276 people with dyslexia and their families and discovered that dyslexia has a hereditary factor affecting their learning. Biochemical and endocrine factors such as vitamin deficiency which causes hyperactivity. Also factors of hyper and hyperthyroidism and theories of delays in maturation of selective attention proposed by Ross in 1976, which affects the capacity of memory and organization of knowledge, accumulating academic failures and frustration of the student. Thank you very much to all our listeners, that those who participated with a like or in a participatory comment on the topic learning. See you soon.